Biliyor musun? Erken rezervasyon başladı. Yazın en renkli fırsatları cyprusparadise.com'da. %40, %50 hatta %60'a varan kaçırılmaz indirimler. Erken rezervasyon yap, uçak bileti fiyatına paket tatili al. Uygun fiyata Kıbrıs tatilinin adresi cyprusparadise.com. Zaman akıp gitmeden acele edin. Bir bakmışsınız yaz gelmiş. Cyprus Paradise. Tatiliniz bizimle güvende.
Kalitenin, güvenin, hızlı teslimatın adresi Conformity. Conformity ailesi olarak yeni ürünler ile hizmete devam etmekteyiz. Yeni model koltuk takımlarımız, yatak mekanizmaları bir dokunuş ile açılıp bir dokunuş ile kapanabilmektedir. Bir dokunuş ile açtığımız yatak mekanizmasının yatak çarşafı kullanıma hazır, serili olarak içinden çıkmaktadır. Yıl sonuna kadar herhangi bir koltuk takımı alan her müşterimize akıllı sehpa hediyemizdir. En iyi ürün, en iyi fiyat. Sadece Conformity'da. Bize uğramadan karar vermeyin. En iyisini biz yapana kadar daha iyisi yok.
Welcome to the latest printed press, and I'm very happy to have a very special guest today, Deborah Jay Kelly, who is a model, TV actress, author and fashion presenter. Welcome, Deborah, to the program. It's an absolute honor to have you with us tonight. How are we feeling?
Great. It's lovely to see you, Aysen, and you're featured in the book.
Yes.
So that.
I know, it's amazing. I mean, the timing is spectacular because actually the book has been launched today, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes. So perfect timing in terms of the interview, of course.
Yes. And like I said, it's a real honor to have you on our program tonight. I've known you for quite a while now, and you've been an absolute inspiration to me and, you know, mentored me in lots of different ways and, you know, been there for advice and inspiration. So thank you very much for being a part of my life and allowing me to be a part of your book. It's an absolute honor, honestly. I admire you immensely and look up to you. So I think it's wonderful that I can actually share you with the rest of the world tonight and to have you on my program. But first of all, for our viewers, what would be nice is just to give us a little bit of background as to how you got into the industry and your experience within the industry.
Yeah, of course. So I've been in the industry since the 80s. This is what I think a lot of people don't realise. And I've worked in media, so in television, in all the channels like Sky, terrestrial channels, and then national media and magazines. So I was always there. I would say maybe that my recognition happened a lot older, or I was kind of maybe in my late 40s before I really got out there and got the recognition. But I've been in the industry for a very, very long time, in publishing, in media, in editorial, in voicing commercials, and backstage as well for a lot of TV shows where people didn't see me. You know, I was in the background, and now I've kind of come out into the front of the camera.
Yes, which I'm very glad that you did. I mean, yes, you do have many years of experience, and you've, you know, been in lots of different areas of the industry, which I think is the reason why you've got such insight, and you're so good at advising others, you know, to do well because of that. Obviously, we're going through some very unusual times currently, and I wanted to touch upon this because the arts industry has really suffered, obviously, as many industries have during COVID. And when I look at it now, we're in February, and it sort of started more or less last March. So it's been a good year that we've been living through COVID times. What do you think that's meant for fashion? How's it experienced? How's it been for you?
Such a difficult time. I mean, in terms of actually presenting a live show on stage, which is what I do, I haven't done that since last March. In terms of red carpet interviews, I haven't done any live interviews on the stage since last year. So, you know, everything has gone how we need it to be, which is Skype, you know, or Zoom, where we can do these things remotely. But it's not quite the same. You don't have the same human interaction that you would have being able to be in person with somebody. And I think, you know, it's like any industry and like everything that's going on at the moment. I mean, I was talking about it today. It's such a huge issue, you know, in terms of, well, we can't meet, you know, how do we interact? Where is that human contact? And this is one of the reasons why I took the time, because what can we do, you know, in lockdown? So I took the time to put together the Model Diaries, and, you know, it took a huge amount of time to structure the schedule. I had a bodyguard, I had like a police officer, all of this, you know, to ensure that actually we were all safe at all times. We adhered to the safety regime, and, you know, it was actually quite difficult. I had disclaimers, you know, we took temperatures, and that was all to ensure that everybody was safe during that time.
Yes, I mean, I must admit, when I came and I was part of, I think it was the second shoot or the third shoot, the way you organised it was so professional. We had all our disclaimers beforehand. Obviously, when we arrived, we had the temperature checks. You know, there was social distancing. Everybody had their own time schedules. We signed the contract, and, you know, everything was so well organised, and you actually welcome people into your own home and your own environment, which I think is very commendable. And the way it was organised with the different photographers, because, I mean, that day we had so many different shoots, but the way you organised it, it just went down. It was absolutely perfect. I must admit, one of the most organised shoots I've ever been to, because, you know, sometimes it can be a bit unorganized with these things, especially when you're doing a live show. But the way you you know, organized it, I thought it was amazing. And obviously, you know, with the safety, it was something different, wasn't it? Because, you know, COVID has made us rethink our whole way of life. And I think the industry, like you said, has sort of evolved and changed, but it isn't the same, obviously. And I can't wait till we go back to those live shows and catwalks, but hopefully soon. But it leads me on to our main topic for tonight, which is the Model Diaries. We're very, very excited about this. So tell us about that. I mean, woo, celebration. Tell us about how you came about with the idea, the process, why you decided to write this book.
Well, I mean, you know, we've talked about the fashion industry. We've talked about the fact that people were isolated. Nobody could see each other. And it's still the case, of course, with the lockdown at the moment. Yeah. So, you know, people were suffering from depression. people were having mental illnesses. You know, it's such a huge thing on the emotional level of not being able to see anybody. And so I put up a marquee out the back when we were allowed to have 6 people in the garden. And I had to get separate food packs because people couldn't eat or drink from the same packs. So I had to get like organised sandwich packs from a supermarket. I had to organise how many people were in the marquee, how many people were outside, and it was insane. But my reason for doing it was to integrate, to bring everybody together, because everyone is so, out of the equation. And just everybody, not just the model industry, fashion industry, I mean, everyone in general are isolated, and me included. And so it was about bringing everybody together in the capacity that we were allowed to bring them into, to actually celebrate that. And, I had a lot of feedback during the interviews that they felt, some of the people that were invited felt like, this was just their lifesaver, that they were finally able to come back and just do what they were meant to do, even if it meant not being able to get next to somebody, socially isolating. And I think, this is very important, because it's our life. Our life has been put on hold for everyone, as I say, not just the fashion industry. So this is why I put together the Model Diaries. And I've always had this huge integrity of bringing nations together and bringing racial integration. And I'm an ambassador for numerous charities for that. And I never see creed or colour. And I think that it's very important for everybody to come together. And this is a time to come together to really embrace each other. So, I kind of caused a bit of a stir. I brought in Asian, Afro-Caribbean, European, Greek, every culture. And I said, look, here we are. We're all human beings. We're all the same. We all have a heart that beats as one. And I kind of threw them in with all the different designers, which were Asian and African, all different cultural designers. And I'm really proud, actually, of what I've done.
I know, it's exciting. I can't wait. I can't wait to actually look at the book, all the pictures. So to make it clear to our audiences, basically, it was a series of fashion shoots that you did. And within that, there are diaries from all the different models and different people that you invited for the different shoots. I feel like, Deborah, it wasn't just the fact that you brought people together from lots of different cultures and backgrounds, but you actually almost gave people therapy, like you were saying earlier, how you made people actually feel like, brought them out of themselves. They really needed it. I do feel like, when I was there, the atmosphere was that everyone felt so happy and elated that day. And obviously the whole process afterwards, where we all were in touch with each other, we were all supporting each other while we were writing our diaries. We had a group. So we had that sort of community feel, didn't we? And through the whole process, you guided us, and we were able to express ourselves through the diaries, really, not just what we've been through as individuals, not just our experience within the industry, but actually going through these times. Is that what you wanted to achieve?
Oh, Aysen, my passion is so deep. It's, it will take me an hour to explain it all. But the thing is, it takes me, I guess, or a woman, to get to a certain age to really have experience, to look at an industry and to see what is happening within that industry. And for me, I've always been an ambassador of charities. I've always had that kind of core basis since I was, 14, I think, maybe even less, with wanting to just, embrace culture. It doesn't matter who you are. As I said before, we all have the same heart. So the thing is, for me, creating the Model Diaries during this pandemic was really to bring everybody together and to celebrate everybody together, to celebrate cultures and so forth. And I think maybe I just had the time to do it because my life is so busy, and pre-March with the COVID, you know, restrictions when they came in place, I had so many events and so many different things, and I think it just gave me the time to be able to, you know, to look at getting people in and bringing them together. And that was part of what happened in my, not July, but the July before, which was the Celebrity Birthday Bash, where I launched my skincare range. And again, I brought together every culture. You know, I had a table for ambassadors, I had a table for actors and actresses. And so it was just about having this whole kind of celebration of culture and bringing us all together. So it's a drive for me, Aysen, and a passion where, you know, I don't think I'll ever stop, because my thing is, as I say, we are all one, and therefore I wanted to take this time to really kind of bring that into the exposure, you know, and to actually bring it out there, even more so that last year we had the BLM, we had racial prejudice, we had riots, we had COVID. We've just been through such well, I can't even put words on it, but I wanted to speak out and say, do you know what? Through all of this, there is still one love. There is still cultural integration, despite what everybody says. And that's what I wanted to incorporate into the book.
Yes. And it's so telling, isn't it, that it's through art that we are able to make these very important points. So that's a message out there for everybody. You know, obviously the arts has, you know, suffered quite badly during COVID, but there is a need for it. And I think that's actually what's pulled people together and allow people to carry on, is the fact that we can communicate through art. And you've done it so beautifully through the Model Diaries. It's amazing. We've got some comments. We've got Debbie Jones saying, well done, Debs. We've got Gil Neil, who's put, book sounds amazing. What was the inspiration behind it? I mean, I think you've sort of explained that a little bit, but I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
I do. I mean, the thing is, you know, I'd like to say that sometimes people look at modelling and Model Diaries as being superficial. You know, this is how the public sometimes deem it to be. Yeah. But the thing is, what I wanted to do was I wanted to bring humanity into the Model Diaries. So I wanted to do interviews. I wanted to do diaries so that they make everybody human. And not only that, it shows you that everybody in this walk of life has experiences. You know, they've suffered, they've overcome difficulties, and it was about making the people in my book human, right? So that we could personalize them. So it's not all models. You know, I've put every shape and size. You know, I've got, well, I'm 55 nearly, and you know, I've got women of every shape and size, every diversity, every ethnicity, every background. And this is what I want to continue to do, because, you know, my whole thing is that you are beautiful. It doesn't matter what size you are, it doesn't matter what age you are, it doesn't matter what you've got wrong with you, because I had 10 years I suffered. I looked like I'd been burnt in a fire, and I had this self-worthlessness. You know, I felt terrible all the time. So for me, it's a celebration of women, actually, and of men as well. And it doesn't matter what they are. It doesn't matter how old they are. It doesn't matter if they've got any disability or diversity. It's about the fact to celebrate that everyone is beautiful in their own way. And that's what I feel passionate about.
Oh, my goodness. What we need, I think we need that in the industry, and I do feel like we're evolving now, because the fashion industry did used to be quite rigid, but I think in the last 10 to 20 years it is becoming much more diverse, and it's people like yourself at the top of the industry that need to bring that forward really and put that message across. So I think thank you very much, because that's entirely the way it should be. The world is diverse. There's all shapes and sizes out there. So the model industry and the fashion industry has to reflect that really. It has to reflect real life. It can't be something that's not, you know, akin to real life. Obviously, you're, like I said, very experienced in the industry. What advice would you give people who want to get into the industry, the do's and don'ts? What would you say to them?
Well, I think, you know, you're quite right, Aysen, actually, because, you know, going back, of course, we all saw the stick thin model, and we all thought, well, that's no good because I'm not tall enough, you know, I'm too short, I'm too big, all of these things. And I would say over the past decade, we've really come together. Lots of the pageants now are introducing classic, which is usually sort of 40, 50 plus women. So it's giving women the chance to, well, to be who they are and not to be forgotten. We've got all the advent of now the plus size models that are coming on. And, you know, I've hosted and presented and red carpet interviews, so many of those as well. And I love it because, you know, what the industry deems to be a beautiful woman, which is like a clothes horse, isn't human. You know, it's not what you would be, or your neighbour would be, or your friend would be. And it's about time that we all wake up and realise that we need to look at that fashion and be able to say, yes, I can see myself in that. And if there's somebody that's like stick thin, a size 0, not that I'm insulting any of them, by the way, but you know, I can't imagine myself in a size 0 because I'm not a size 0. So you know, so the fashion industry needed to wake up. There's actually, I won't name her, but there's an amazing fashion icon. She's still on the catwalk now, and she's 85. Now she's my icon because I say to myself, okay, fine. You know, there are women from like 40, 50, 60, 70. They still buy fashion. They spend money. So why would we only limit it to like a young girl who might be a size 0? And this is where, you know, we really need to kind of bring more change into the industry.
Yes, definitely. I mean, you have your own academy. I'd like to talk about off stage. We got into a chat about lots of different things. And I really felt like we should bring it into the interview. You know, ask the young girls about plastic surgery and maybe just a little bit of a background to your academy and what's that about with your products and things.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you, Aysen. So I founded the Angel Academy of Teaching and Training in 2003. And it was we did remedial injuries and sports massage and that kind of thing. And then we introduced beauty a little bit along the line. So during the years, I've noticed changes, now gone to aesthetic. So the only way that anyone seems to, like the beauty industry seems to make true money is out of aesthetics. And aesthetics is blowing my mind because, you know, it sounds like I'm an old, well, I am, but when I was younger, you know, we didn't have Botox, we didn't have fillers, we didn't have like any of the peels, we didn't have any of that. We had collagen and we had silicone. Silicone was out there in a big way because they had to cut it out of somebody's face because she looked like a munchkin. And, you know, and then collagen, of course, was banned. Now I've watched the industry progress and now everybody can have everything. And there's this huge pressure on young girls to be beautiful. They come into the academy at 18 and they're all going to have Botox and they're having a Brazilian butt lift, you know, in the bum, if you don't know what that is. But it's like, it's a fashion now to have a big backside, right? Big lips and all of this, which is fine. But then fast forward their lives to 50. What is the fashion going to be like then? What are they going to be like then? can they take all of these things out? You know, what is going to be the ramifications for that? And I feel like, you know, there's so many of these TV shows now, like Kim Kardashian and stuff like that, where my students want to be like them. And in order to do that, they have these things. There's another thing. There's like this little thread lift, so you can do this with your eyebrow. And, you know, they're all having it because nobody's telling them that in 10 years' time, there might be a problem. Because like collagen in the 80s, we were having collagen, we thought it was safe, but then 20 years later, it got banned. So my only fear is this kind of pressure that my students feel that they have, you know, to maintain this ability to be beautiful and to have these big lips and these big eyes and, you know, these big boobs and stuff like this. And I just think, you know, I give them a mummy talk.
Yeah, I think we should, because naturally it's beautiful. Everybody, you know, some of us have big eyes, some of us big lips, and there's nothing wrong with, you know, improving yourself if you want a bit of that self-confidence. But to go overboard and to have Botox when you're 18 or 19, it's not necessary. They're young, so, you know, they should enjoy their youth, I think. So definitely, I think that mummy talk is needed. I mean, we talk about diversity a lot. I mean, you've mentioned that a lot in your model diaries. That's a big focus. How about like diversity and sustainability within fashion? What are your thoughts with all of that? Do you think the fashion industry is moving at the pace that it should? Do you think sustainability is something that companies need to think about? And diversity, like you said, we've touched upon it. I think it's needed, isn't it, in the industry? But do you think it's happening enough currently, or?
I think everything is on hold at the moment. I think we were making advances pre-COVID.
Yeah.
A lot of, you know, designers like Asian designers were actually using their products and their, you know, designs for every race. I want to actually say that I can't remember when it was, so I'm not going to tell you. But when I got married, which was quite some time ago now, I actually got married in a sari. And my ex-husband wore a sarong, and we got married abroad in Sri Lanka. Because I've always loved the fashion, you know, the little bindi and all of the jewellery that goes with it. I think since then, there's been a very, very great awareness. A lot of women and men are looking to say, well, hey, you know, I can wear a sari and I'd like to wear a sari. You know, I may not be Asian or Indian, but I would like to wear a sari. And I think it's the same as well with the African culture and European culture. But I still think that we have a way to go because I think we've kind of been restricted and put back actually because of COVID. That's what I wanted to do with the model diaries. So I had, you know, my Asian bride was a European lady. I had all sorts of different cultures coming within that. And then the African culture in the model diaries as well. I had a lot of, you know, all different colours and creeds coming into that. And it was really a way of saying, look, you know, we are all embracing culture. Because when I do my red carpet interviews and when I present on the stage, if I'm doing Pakistani Fashion Week, or if I'm doing an African show, I would like to wear something cultural. And it isn't because I feel pressured to, because I love their culture. I just want to embrace that culture and be part of it.
Yeah, definitely. We've got lots of comments coming in. Fatima Mehmet has said that you're a very inspirational lady. We've put Debbie Jones, put excellently put, Debs. It's time all walks of life were included within the fashion industry. And Gulnil has put a question for you both. Do you think fashion allows people to express their individuality, or does it force people to conform?
That's a question. That's a good question. Yes. Isn't it? I mean, well, do you want me to answer?
Yes, please. Yes.
Well, I think that, you know, we have been really sort of how can I say, I can't get my words out today. We've been told that we have to conform. You know,
Not listening.
I'm nearly 55, right? Should I be wearing a top like this? Should
Oh,
I?
yes, for sure. I think you should.
What, put them back in, you know, and act your age. And so I guess there is a lot of this kind of in society that says that you should conform, but why should you conform? You know, what dictates that you should conform to anything? You know, if as long as it makes you happy, why shouldn't you do, you know, whatever you feel comfortable to do? And this is something which I guess, you know, I've really come across. So people are, oh, you know, but you're in your 50s. Don't you think you should just like shut up, you know, and like go away and be quiet? And no, because I'm not forgotten. Just because I'm in my 50s, I'm not forgotten. I'm still a human. I'm still an amazing person. You look at women, you know, they are mothers, they are housewives, they work, they look after people, they look after children. You know, we're miracle workers, really. And that's not just women, obviously, but just because a woman asked the question. So I think, you know, if you're happy, then you should just get out there and express whatever you want to be yourself, and don't worry about what other people say.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, for me to add to that, it's people like yourselves that have inspired me, because I was very short. So at the beginning, when I was young, I was told I was too short to be in the fashion industry and to be part of Catwalk. But I, you know, didn't listen and carried on with my dreams and was able to be on the catwalk, even though I'm only 5'4". And then later on, when I had my kids and they were growing up, I was told, well, you're a mum now, so you can't go back into the industry. And I did go back into the industry. And I think I've enjoyed it far more being a little bit more older and wiser, and having kids and having that backdrop, I think has enabled me to be more successful in the industry. So definitely I do feel like we shouldn't conform. We do need to break the rules a little bit for the good of the world, really, so that we do knock down these stereotypes, because women shouldn't be forgotten. Women should be celebrated, whatever age they are, whatever shape they are, whatever height they are, whatever their background is, they should be celebrated. So people like yourself is what we need, really, in the industry. And thank goodness we have you, Deborah, because honestly, there are still some people who want to conform, like you said, and those young girls who are doing all sorts of things at such an early age, you know, it's the pressure that they're feeling, because, you know, 9 times out of 10, when you see those wonderful pictures, it's a huge amount of work to get it to that point. You know, it's a huge amount. I'm sure like you can say that for your model diaries, how much work goes into it. So, you know, that women need to give themselves a break. You're not going to look fabulous and amazing and perfect every single second of your life. I mean,
nobody does. Nobody does. You know, it's all editing. And I want to make a comment, Aysen, if I've got time.
Yes, we do.
So,
we do.
Again, I go back to in my day, but I do. You know, when you get turned down for modeling because you're too short, in my like era, you had to go, you could be stretched. You could go onto a machine and actually
I didn't even know that.
Their hostesses as well, like in the day, and you could be stretched and you would get like 2 inches height, and then you could quickly go for the interview, because, and this is literally on a machine that stretched you. This is how like superficial everything was then. And you know, so for me, if you're beautiful in your own way, as everybody is, what should it matter about your height? I think the problem came from, you know, this, what we were talking about before, the clothes horse, you know, that they had to look like a stick, and that's why. But I want to change all of that. So it doesn't matter about height to me at all in the model diaries. It doesn't matter about color, creed, anything. You know, it's really important just to show that all women are beautiful.
Yes. And it's amazing. I mean, so your plans for now and your plans for the future, tell us about it. Obviously, we've got the model diaries out today. Where can people purchase it? any information about your website and any sort of current and future plans that you have?
So the Model Diaries, it's series 1. So I can invite any women at all, because I don't choose, you know, your sort of statistical model to take part in it. So it's diversity. You know, I've got some actors, I've got actresses, I've got you, Aysen.
Yes.
So I've chosen, you know, women that have such a core heart, you know, because I don't know, when I look at a picture, I want to see the substance of a person, the substance of a woman, the substance of a man. I want to see their heart showing through, you know, not just a completely blank person. So I chose people that have lives, like they've had experiences, they've had troubles, they've had problems. And I wanted to share all of those things with people so that they don't think that, you know, just a picture of a model because it's been edited and they look beautiful, that there's nothing behind that picture, because there is. So I am moving on now to the Model Diaries 2. We've got a book, an 8-book series actually, which I'm really excited about. So the first book is out, it's on Amazon. So amazon.co.uk and amazon.com. If you want to Google me, my name is Deborah, 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 the old spelling, Deborah Jay Kelly, and you can look at my profile on Amazon. And I've just launched the website for the Model Diaries, which is www.themodeldiaries.co.uk. And there's a shop on there as well, so you can buy a copy and you can have it autographed.
Yay! Yeah, I'm so excited. We'll put all that information at the bottom of the program. We've got a very interesting question from a young girl, Melissa. How is the fashion industry like towards straight, cisgender males such as Harry Styles and Jaden Smith wearing dresses? And is there a stigma towards them? That's a question and a half.
Are you asking me? Or are you doing that one first, Aysen, or are you asking me?
I'm asking you, I think. That's quite a question and a half.
I think that the industry is waking up. I mean, I talk hugely about the modelling industry with transgender. And, you know, the bearded lady, she's famous. Everybody's going to Google her now. But you know, she had polycystic ovaries, and that it's hirsutism. It's all, and I won't confuse you, but basically you grow hair, and she grew a beard, and she is on the catwalk. She said, "Look, this is what I am. This is what I have. Do you have a problem with it?" And she's hugely followed. You know, she's got a real backing, and I think, you know, this is very much changing now. The world is changing about acceptance, about transgender, about, you know, people showing, like men, for instance, showing their feminine side. And I'm just laughing because I've done a couple of fashion shows, you know, and we've had this, you know, we've had men wearing dresses, and, you know, and the crowd and the audience loved it. And so this is the way, this is like the 21st century. This is the way now for acceptance and expression, expressing yourself for who you are. And I think we're going to see a lot more of this. Well, post-COVID, hopefully, you know, when all of that calms down. And if it calms down, I think, you know, we're going to see a lot more of this, a lot more diversity, a lot more transgender on the catwalks.
Yes, I think so. I agree. I mean, I've done lots of shows where I've had men in dresses and all sorts of things as well. So I'm in total agreement with everything that you've said. And definitely, I think because of COVID and everybody sort of going back to basics, I think hopefully, one hopes we will be more embracing of everybody and actually allow people to express themselves in whichever way they want to express themselves, because true beauty comes from within. And you've taught me that it comes from within. If you're happy about yourself, you will shine out and your beauty will be there for everyone to see. But you have to love yourself for who you are, and you need to come to terms with whatever it is that you are, embrace it first of all, and then, you know, show the whole world, really. So I'm in complete agreement with that. Lots of people talking about age. Age is just a number. Breaking boundaries. People have put loads of muscle emojis. Abby Hussein has put Barbara Cartland comes to mind. I mean, I think this is it. This is what the audiences want. I think tonight we've had a real buzz on my program. All the comments that have been coming through, it's just nothing but positive, because it's so refreshing to have somebody who is, like I said, you've got such a wealth of experience and you're very sort of at the top of the industry, and yet you've got these amazing views, and this is what we want. It's so refreshing to see. I think Model Diaries is going to be a great success. And I'm so glad that it's series 1, so it means that we're going to have lots more to look forward to, and it will evolve. I mean, obviously, we're going through COVID times. I mean, what would be your lasting sort of message to everybody as we're sort of still in it and trying to come out of it? We're probably going to have a few more months of being in lockdown. Hopefully soon, after March, things will start to go back to normal. But obviously, there's a new reality. What would be your lasting message to our viewers tonight?
Oh gosh, that's a really good one. I mean, I am a carer to my mum and dad. They're 92 and 93. And I think unless you've been in that situation, you would never really understand just hard it, you know, how much time it takes and how hard it can be and how soul destroying it can be, how you can forget who you are. You know, it's so difficult. But, you know, I'm their key worker, I'm their carer. So I'm fortunate enough to be able to see them. Yeah. But when you look at all the people that are isolated, I just have a wealth. I can't even express it, because this is almost unreal. You know, people, I don't have a relationship. I mean, I care for my mum and dad, that's it. You know, we can't meet anybody naturally anymore. We can't embrace anybody naturally anymore. We can't cuddle each other. So in the Model Diaries, you know, everybody was seeing each other. They wanted to cuddle each other. They wanted to go, oh, I haven't seen you for ages. And, you know, we had to wear masks. We had to isolate. You know, we couldn't get next to each other. It's an inhumane situation. And, you know, this is what I wanted to do with the Model Diaries, to bring out the fact that, you know, it is a really difficult time. And I just like to, I don't know why, but I just like to say, you know, if anybody's going through like any emotional issues, any depression, anything like that, you know, I was supposed to have an operation because I broke my leg a couple of years ago and I got whiplash on my shoulder. And I was supposed to have an operation like a year ago, and everything's been put off because of COVID. Just keep persevering. Don't give up. You know, keep on, keep messaging, keep doing whatever you need to do to get through until you can get that help, because I know that, you know, the NHS and everything, it's all inundated at the moment because of the COVID situation. But, you know, if anybody's watching, persevere, because when we overcome this, and we don't know when, but when we overcome this, you know, we will then be able to shine again. And it's about getting through this awful period of time, and it is awful, and it's lonely, and it can be really depressing. And I just think, you know, we've just got to have a hope about the fact that, you know, we have a future coming up.
Yeah. We've actually been allowed, I've just been told by the team, that we can go over by a few minutes because we've had so many comments coming in. You've had such a positive effect on our audience. So we've been given permission just for a few more minutes to have your time. We've got some more questions. I want to cut the program. So Melissa's put another question out. She's put, in your opinion, does the fashion industry have a problem with cultural appropriation? Have I said that right? I think I have. Yes. What do we think about that? That's all these questions. The fashion industry is, you know, embracing cultural diversity. I think we're getting better, aren't we?
I definitely think there's been a change. I think we've been really slow. And I think that even during COVID, you know, with all of the riots and everything else, I think, you know, all of this, like one African lady, you know, on a bus, that basically said, I'm not sitting at the back, I'm sitting at the front. Changed everything.
Yeah.
And sometimes we think we're too little to change something. You know, sometimes we think, well, who's ever going to listen to me? You know, I can't make a change, but actually you can. And it's a step-by-step process. And I think this year, actually, with all of this recognition, the BLM, everything that went on, I think it's kind of brought about a lot of sort of realization, you know, in the media and so forth. Yes, we still have a long way to go. I think we do, but it's a step-by-step process. And I'm one of the ones that will be right in the forefront pushing for that change.
Definitely, definitely. And we've got also Michaela saying there is a stigma attached to us blondes, often because of certain appearances, people judge us, thoughts. Yeah, that's true. God, I think I've frozen.
You're an actual blonde.
Yes.
Lucky you, I have to do mine. As you can see, I can't do it in lockdown at all. I had a disaster. Actually, my hair fell out and it's been like 4 months now and it's still not growing back. So yeah, there's a stigma, but it is what it is. You know, you can be blonde and beautiful, and you can have dark hair and be beautiful as well. And you know, where does that stigma come from? I'd like to ask you. You know, is that like the male perspective of a blonde versus a brunette? Do you see what I mean? It's sometimes people are small-minded, and you know, they look at you and they say because she's blonde, she's stupid. I've got 15 degrees. I teach like 3-level science, medical science. You know, I'm a very intelligent woman. I've been a journalist for donkey's years. But yes, I think there is this kind of level of, oh, well, she's blonde. And there's this kind of sexual stigma attached to it.
Yes, definitely. We're freezing up, I think. Weather. So I think we're going to have to wrap it up, unfortunately. But it's been an absolute pleasure, Deborah, having you on my program. Hopefully, we will have you again, and I look forward to us being in the studio together, for us to actually do this again in the studio as well. But thank you very much for coming on my program. It's been an absolute pleasure. Oh, we're back. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on.
Fast forward.
I fast forwarded, didn't I? I fast forwarded. That's hilarious. I've got magical powers now as well. I move like lightning. I think it's the rain. I don't know if it's like that with you, but I can hear the rain on my roof.
It's been. I've had bad internet connection.
It made me sort of freeze, and then I went and I'm back. But yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure.
You're still gorgeous, Aysen.
Oh, thank you.
Aysen's in a book.
Yes, I am in the book as well, so please buy it.
She's got a diaries in the book. She's got a bio in the book.
Oh, thank you very much. Honestly, thank you so much for giving me involvement in that. It's an absolute pleasure for me, really. And being from a Turkish Cypriot background, you know, growing up, you know, we do, you know, have quite a strict upbringing. And, you know, being a model in a Turkish Cypriot culture isn't the atypical profession to get into. But you know what? I had very supporting parents, and I've been very lucky to have people support me as I've gone along. And, you know, meeting you, Deborah, like I said, a real inspiration. I feel very fortunate to have you in my life. So I look forward to, I look forward to carrying on. I really do look forward to, you know, carrying on and doing many more projects with you and having you on my show again. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And keep going, viewers. Yeah, keep going. Just fight through it. You will get there.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much, Deborah. Thank you to all of our viewers. Thank you for all the comments. That's it from us from Eurogenç TV. Have a good evening. Good night.
Biliyor musun? Erken rezervasyon başladı. Yazın en renkli fırsatları cyprusparadise.com'da. %40, %50 hatta %60'a varan kaçırılmaz indirimler. Erken rezervasyon yap, uçak bileti fiyatına paket tatili al. Uygun fiyata Kıbrıs tatilinin adresi cyprusparadise.com. Zaman akıp gitmeden acele edin. Bir bakmışsınız yaz gelmiş. Cyprus Paradise. Tatiliniz bizimle güvende.
Kalitenin, güvenin, hızlı teslimatın adresi Ancon Furniture. Ancon Furniture ailesi olarak yeni ürünler ile hizmete devam etmekteyiz. Yeni model koltuk takımlarımız, yatak mekanizmaları bir dokunuş ile açılıp bir dokunuş ile kapanabilmektedir. Bir dokunuş ile açtığımız yatak mekanizmasının yatak çarşafı kullanıma hazır, serili olarak içinden çıkmaktadır. Yıl sonuna kadar herhangi bir koltuk takımı alan her müşterimize akıllı sehpa hediyemizdir. En iyi ürün, en iyi fiyat. Sadece Ancon Furniture'da. Bize uğramadan karar vermeyin. En iyisini biz yapana kadar daha iyisi yok.